Here we go. Last week of foundations, sort of. The Mother's Day is coming in at the wrong spot, so we'll have to work our way around that. So technically, this will be the last week of instruction, and then next week we'll go take a short adventure into book two. Let me go post it over on our website. Website is jollyrogerukulele.com. It has our daily schedule and all the sheet music that you're going to need. And I'm going to click there, click here, and click there, update, and patience, update. So that should get us going. That should get everybody able to sneak in here and sit down. Playing Carnival of Venice today. Absolutely lovely tune by Paganini. And so we will get a little classical music hit today. And then lesson 25, right? Yep, lesson 25. Everything's lining up. Let me tweet this real quick while everybody's coming in to sit down and get going. Lesson 25, Carnival of Venice by how do you spell Paganini? Hold on, let's go check out how we spell Paganini. I think it's 1G, P-A-G. I don't know how to spell Paganini. Ukulele, storage, download, thinking, ukulele, C, Carnival of Venice, ukulele. It is P-A-G-A. Oh, there are no repeated letters. Paganini. Yeah, no. There you go. https://jollyrogerukulele.com. Patience. Clink. Upload the photo. Foundations. 25. I'm getting sick of this little girl listening to her headphones, so I'm ready to change out the image. And tweet. All right, so we've done all that. We're in good shape there. All right, so let's see. All right. Did I spell that correct? I don't know. That looks weird. All right, there's that. Plunk. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. All right, beautiful. Look how organized we are. Okay. All right, let's get going here. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Jan is here. Jan and Charlie, the dog. Jan's reminding me, Charlie's a dog. I've been under the impression that Charlie is a significant other of Jan, hanging out and taking ukulele because she's taking Charlie's the dog. Hello, Charlie. Jan is in. Rainy, cold, and Lakewood. Yeah, it's super rainy and cold out here today. We got low-hanging clouds. And it's misty, crummy day. Love it. We love this here in Colorado for about 12 hours, and then after that, the sun needs to come out. Strings are holding tune today. All right. With strings, always a good question, right? And something that comes up on a regular basis. When you buy a new ukulele, you can play those strings for about 6 months. You need to play those for about 6 months because your ukulele probably is not fully opened up at this point. It's not going to matter if we put on better strings for the first 6 months. Just play the heck out of it for 6 months. At the end of that 6 months, then we come in, replace them with fluorocarbon and that sort of thing. Do a final setup on it. If we, there's usually a little bit of tweaking that I set the ukuleles up initially, get them out, get them played for a month. When they come back, there's usually a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done to make them at their optimum on that second go round. But I would say for the first 6 months, it does not matter what strings are on there. It's not going to sound as good as it's going to, and you really need to get the ukulele opened up and get it vibrating and stuff. So the first 6 months, play whatever's on it. Then after 6 months, if you're playing every day, like I do, a couple hours a day on both of these instruments, and strings last me about 4 months. If you're most people, if they're playing every day, 6 months is a good time to be thinking about how changing your strings. If you're like most ukulele players and you're playing 2 or 3 times a week, once a year should be satisfactory. You really don't want them to go longer than a year, even if you don't play them, because they do harden up and they get brittle. Not really brittle, but they just don't do. They're just worn out after a year, even if you're not playing it. So those are the timelines to think about in terms of changing strings. And for those of you guys who have not changed your strings yet, if your strings are white or black, those are not the best choice. And so you want to, as soon as possible, after that initial 6 month period, go ahead and get those changed out for fluorocarbon. On this instrument, I have Martin fluorocarbon. On that one, I have straight up fishing wire. No. This one I actually put Savaras on. I have fluorocarbon fishing line that I use for lots of stuff, and it's perfectly fine. So there is a lengthy and completely inane conversation going on the internet about what are the best strings, and that is not. You'll do yourself a favor by just getting some fluorocarbon strings on your ukulele. Like I say, at the shop, I mostly use Savaras and Martin for those people. For most ukuleles, and then when I'm setting stuff up just for general sale, and initially I'll put on just bulk fluorocarbon. I really, honestly, all of my instruments, I put that stuff on, my personal stuff, because honestly, the sound difference is negligible at best, if you at all, and it's about a tenth of the price. Not a tenth; it's about a third of the price. Spelling fishing fluorocarbon fishing wine is just fine. Let's see. Sound is good. Non-spelling Eugene. What is non-spelling Eugene? Trying to think, Vic. What does that mean? Glad you're here from Eugene, whatever that means. Michelle happy to be here. She's overcast day in Rockaway Beach, so so Rob's here, 82, finally. It cracks the 80s up down there in Texas, ready to go. Rob's ready for summer. Linda's in from Colorado Springs. It is Monday. Ugh. And Mary's in from Foggy, up in Golden. So glad to have all you guys here. Thank you for being here. Today's Carnival of Venice. Guys, I do want to take a brief moment. On Wednesday, you are officially done with Foundations class from a lessons perspective, right? So the last two pieces in the Foundation series, Aloha Oe and Scarborough Fair, are stretch pieces, and we're going to do those next week, and that leaves us two other pieces. So I'm going to grab two pieces out of book 2 to finish out our week next week, and then on next Friday we will play the 3 songs from this week plus the stuff from next week, and then you will be really officially done with Foundations. And then I'm going to take a little bit of a break in May on Foundations. We're sort of so we're going to take a little bit of a break because I need a little bit of a break, and then in June, the 1st of June, we will do another round of Foundations. And I think starting in June this summer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine book 1 and book 2. So you'll have your book 1 song every day and a book 2 song for those of you guys that are either on your second round or you're getting it, or things are going well. And so we'll have a book 1 and a book 2 song each day in this Foundations class. The other thing is, I think for the summer I'm going to keep the schedule basically the same, but in the fall things will change because I'm going to go back to school. So just to give you big picture stuff, most of you guys are probably playing very well enough where you're going to start looking at coming into the tougher class, and you probably should. And that class this summer will be focused in on playing from lead sheets. In other words, here's the melody, here's the chords. How do you create an arrangement once you have those two pieces of information? And so we'll be spending a lot of time on that this summer. The Monday nights will not change. We're going to stick with jazz through the summer. And I think that's the big plan going forward. So just know you're kind of pulling the plane into the hangar at this point. You got a couple of songs left this week and a couple more next week, and then we release you on the world. Oh, you can't spell Paganini either. Oh, okay, I understand. Vic was here while I was trying to type in Paganini into Twitter, and I'm like, I have no idea how to spell that. All right, let's talk about your song today. Carnival of Venice. It was Niccolo Paganini, an Italian composer, 1829, considered one of the later romantics, and he was actually a fan of the guitar, and so he wrote a lot of music for guitar that's still well thought of. And this piece was not one of those pieces, but he is one of those composers who got fretted instruments. He understood that, and so I like to celebrate him a tiny bit. Plus, this song is super fun to play, and most of you will know this song from listening to the cartoons. And Paganini is not meant to be spelled. It sounds like pasta, doesn't it? Like, yes, may I have a bowl of Paganini, please? So the nice 2-chord song, right? F and C7. That's it. So that you are, as you know, this week we are started last week on with Simple Gifts doing F and C for that particular one, and again F, G, A, B, C, right? And so F and C or C7 are always, those are going to be friends that hang out together. One day this week, I think it's tomorrow, we study Daisy Bell, where we talk about B flat to some extent. Okay, so let's first, since there's no lyrics, doesn't do that much good to work on the chords. Do notice when you see a 7 after a chord, it does mean something. So we could play this with F and C, and it would be lovely. But when you see a C7, it adds a little bit of a tension, not attention, a little bit of tension to the way the music is flowing. You can hear the difference. Here's a C, very happy. Here's a C7, a little nervous. Right? And the nervousness is creating tension in the sound so that we can resolve it by getting to the F. Okay, I'm realizing that I have not put a tuner on this instrument, probably since Friday. I don't think I used it over the weekend. How much they are continuing to stretch even now a week later. So let's run through the melody. I see 1s, I see 3s, I see 5s, right? What does that tell you? Probably going to need to play in first position and have your pinky sneak up and grab those 5s. Probably going to be the least amount of motion is have your pinky do this job. I don't usually worry about that too much either, even on guitar where the frets are so much further apart. If I've got to slide up 1 fret and then slide back, and that's the only motion I have to do, then I'm probably going to go with that. This piece does have an 8 way down there at 25, so when you see that situation, you're like, okay, I got this 8 coming up. I'm probably going to want to be in third position there so that I can either third or maybe even all the way up to 5th position to get that 8. So when I see an 8 coming, then I'm like, all right, now I really do have to think about position. But for the majority of this song, you're going to play it in first position. Let's run through it so you can get to know the melody. You'll know the melody. You've heard it before. 1, 2. 3, 1. 2, 3, 1, 2. 3, 1. 2, 3, 1, 2. 3, 1. 2, go. 3, 1. to the top. 3, 1. 2, 3, 1, 2. 3, 1. 2, 3, 1, 2. 1. 3, 1, 2. 3, 1. 2nd ending. And remember, when you get a high note like that, especially at the end of a song, you want to try to work on your vibrato just a little bit. So that's usually either your pinky, and you hit the note, and then just shake it back and forth. Don't lift it up, just wiggle it. Okay? You know, wah, 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 wah. Ring finger works pretty well. Okay? Sometimes your middle is what you got to use. It's a little harder to wiggle, I think. I rarely use my index finger for vibrato. I just find he fights me on wiggles, right? Pinky and ring, they spent their whole life wiggling around. They don't know what they're doing. You want to wiggle? Sure. So try to finish on your pinky or your ring, either way, and then you can create that vibrato at the end. All right, let's walk through the tough uke now, and hopefully, as we're getting close to the wrapping up 25 lessons in, 26, however many lessons we're in, that this is starting to feel like, yeah, I think I get what he's talking about. Okay, so the first note's the 3, so hit that, and then you see 5, 5, 5, 5, which you know has to be a bar, right? Just straight up and down, and then you hit a 3. And then 2, 0, 1, 1. That's a little bit awkward. So you grab your F chord. Now that's 2, 0, 1, 0. But then you want to lay down your index finger to get the 2 1s. Okay, and it sounds super cool if you can get it right. Okay, and then just take your index finger off and hit the 0. And then a regular C7, 0, 0, 0, 1. And then 0, 0, 3. Use your ring finger. Okay, now notice on the melody it's tied together, but in the tough uke, we get rid of the tie because it gives us a chance to hit the chord again. So then we hit 0, 0, 3, and then 3, 0. You're already holding the 3 down. And then measure 5, a nice C7. Ring finger on 3. Pinky up on 5. Back to the 3. And at measure 7, put an F chord on. Got some decorative notes here. Notice the melody has a tie, but the tough uke keeps working. Okay, ring finger on the 3. Bar on 5. Go grab the 3. And then F chord with a 3. So probably make sure you have your F chord on and your pinky. So it would make sense to grab that first 3 with your pinky and then just add your F chord on. Do that. Then hit the 1 and the 0. C7 is 0, 0, 0, 1, just nice strum. And then 0, 0, 0, or 0, 0, 3. Again. 3, 0. 0, 0, 0, 1. Hit the 3. Pinky on 5. Back to the 3. And then an F chord at 15. Partial rest, make sure your thumb rested on that first string, and then 0, 1, and then a real F chord. Okay, grab the 3, 2, 0, 1, 3, that's your F chord with your pinky. 1, 0, regular F chord, 3, 1, and then 0, 0, 1, open. And all all zeros. Hit the 3-0. C7. Hit the 3. Hit the 5. Hit the 3. F chord. F chord. Okay, my note here says put your pinky on the 3 and then slide it up to 8 and then add your bar. Okay, so 5, 5, 5, 8. Okay, now slide your pinky right back down to the 3. Add a regular F chord underneath it. Hit the 1, 0. 0, 0, 0, 1. Again. 3, 0. 0, 0, 0, 1. Hit the 3. Hit the 5. Back to the 3. And then an F chord. Okay, and notice first ending, you just hit the 3 and go back and play this page again. At the last ending, when you get down the second time through, you hit that F chord, and then it's a 0 on the first string, a 3, and then bar chord, 5, 5, 5, 8. Okay, so let's see how we do. Game face on. If this is going pretty well, and your thumb coming down is always working for you, you can also play this with a pluck, right? You can play this with plucking with your claw. So if you're feeling pretty confident, like, yep, things are coming together pretty well, I basically understand that when I see something, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm supposed to do. If that's you, then try the first time with your thumb and then the second time with your claw. If you're still like, I don't know, this is all a lot, just play with your thumb both times. Okay, let's give it a try. From the top, 1, 2. 19, 20. Slide it up. Top. And then second ending. Isn't that a pretty piece? It's just got a nice feeling to it, nice flow to it. Um, and of course, guys, always remember whenever you don't have lyrics, you're not going to be singing, right? But that doesn't mean you can't also play the chords. And so if somebody's playing the melody or the tough uke, you can always be like, oh gosh, I'm going to ditch out and play the chords. If we were setting this up in class, so half the class would be playing melody, the other half would be playing chords, and then we switch, and it's all a great deal of fun. When you have somebody that's keeping beat with the chords, it also makes the music kind of feel more pressure to keep moving forward. When you're playing solo, tough uke line, we have a tendency to make some things a little longer, some things a little shorter, to adjust based on our feeling and our mood and our emotions. And when you're playing with duets, you usually do a lot less of that, and so it ends up sounding different, and sometimes for better and sometimes for worse, but certainly an interesting way of playing as well. All right, so there is the ukulele version. So now let's go grab a baritone version. And those of you guys that are getting ready to be like, you know what, I am getting this process, I know where I'm headed with all of this, be mindful as you are going forward and you run into people and they're like, oh, I hear you play ukulele. You can say, yes, I'm a high-level, first-class ukuleleist. And they'll say, well, should I play tenor ukulele? What size should I get? And you look at their hands. If they have huge, giant, scary hands, and then that can be women or men, you say, well, why don't you play baritone? And if they are, little teeny tiny hand, little teeny tiny fingers, maybe soprano. I would sell, I think in the last few years, I've sold maybe 5 total sopranos, upper end sopranos. Wherein I've sold dozens and dozens and dozens of tenors in concerts. Because most people really, the soprano is too small. And prior to building this website, I tried not to start people on baritone because there wasn't enough music now, but that's all changed. And so there's plenty of baritone music to keep you occupied, and it's all good stuff. So now you can start on tenor, concert, baritone, none of it matters, right? And plus, the other nice thing is now that I'm pulling out the baritone, you're thinking, all right, I'm going to have to keep up, I'm going to have to switch to chords because I don't have the melody now. And you're busy pulling up your baritone Carnival of Venice and going, C, G7. And there's a part of you that's like, sweet. Okay, so you're going to play C's and G7s. All right, and I need this piece of paper to align with the other piece of paper, so I'm going to write align with uke. The pagination is different. This one goes on to page 2, right? It's a little easier to read when they go on to page 2, but not necessarily better. Let's see. So, ukulele players, you're on C chord, and that's your C chord, that's your G7, and you're just 3 beats per measure. Let's do this for the baritone players. Let's go through, play the melody once, and then we'll come back and play baritone. And Mary says, baritone, exactly the same. I feel like I've been missing something. So at this point, Mary, everything in book 1 and book 2 is all arranged exactly the same for baritone and for ukulele. The only thing that's different is when I teach, I always teach the ukulele first because that's 90% of the players, and then we go through and play the exact same hand positions and so on for baritone. There are a couple of advanced pieces where I was able to that are not in book 2, where they're a little different, like some of the jazz pieces. Sometimes you can put the baritone in a completely different key and have a very different arrangement on the fretboard and take advantage of the low notes. But yeah, the 2 programs are exactly the same. Exactly. So it doesn't matter whether you're going to play ukulele or baritone anymore. Whichever one you feel like, you know what, I want to study this one, then both sets of the sheet music is fundamentally identical. So you're early for the next class, Linda. Glad to have you here. I'm not positive what you think you're missing, Mary, but let's definitely chat about it on email or even here if you feel like you need some clarification on that. But the two programs are identical, and there may be like on this one, the page looks different because this one goes on to 2 pages, but the shapes are exactly the same. And so while you're always working in one key and they're working in a different key, the tough uke is identical, and then so you're learning the exact same skill set just in a different key. So hopefully that answers your question. Shouldn't be missing anything. Let's play this 3 times through. First time through, I'm going to play the melody. Ukulele players, you're playing the chords. Mary, you're playing the melody. Second time through, I'm going to play the chords with my thumb, tough uke with my thumb, and then the third time through, I'm going to play tough uke with the claw. So in other words, ukulele players, you're going to get a good amount of practice. C, G7, C, G7. Just 3 beats per measure. Let's give it a try. 1, 2. 3, 1, 2. Two, 3, measure 17. 3, 1, 2. 3, 1. Okay, let's go back to the top. I'm going to fix that ending a little bit. Let's go to the top. Tough uke. If you're on baritone, otherwise chord player stay the same. 1, 2. It has a glissando on there, so you should probably definitely switch to your thumb. Okay, and drop it out. It's interesting. This baritone, which was new last week, you can already feel. I've been playing it quite a bit the weekend or through the weekend. It's already starting to come around, right? It's already like, okay, that was a new instrument. It didn't sound kind of weird and clunky, but starting to feel a little bit more like a real instrument. Still, the bridge the saddle is a tiny bit too low. I'll probably raise that up just a smidge, and but it's already starting to come around and sound really nice. So when you buy a new ukulele, give it some time to settle in, make sure you got a professional setup and all that stuff, and that first 6 months, don't judge a ukulele too harshly, and then just keep playing it, and all of a sudden you'll feel good. All right, I mentioned it early on in the class, but it bears repeating. To this week, we're not going to meet Thursday and Friday due to Mother's Day, so we're going to do Carnival of Venice, Daisy Bell, and then wrap up with the key of F arpeggio. That is, lesson 27 is sort of technically the end of Foundations class. I do always teach Aloha Oi and Scarborough Fair as next level pieces, as stretch pieces or more advanced pieces. And since the way this is all with the weird break here right in the middle of the end of the class, it's kind of crazy. So I'll probably add in 1 or 2 other songs for next week from book 2, and it kind of probably depends on what I feel like next week. And so as of this week, you're sort of done with Foundations class. Next week we sort of give you a preview of what book 2 looks like. And then you'll be done. You'll be set up for Foundations. And at that point next week, we'll have a more in-depth conversation about how you're feeling, how you're playing, how things are going with your instrument, and whether it makes sense to do Foundations a second time or a third time or a 12th time, whatever makes you comfortable. Or whether it's like, you know what, I've sat through this. I'm basically got the big picture and know what I'm supposed to do. I'm ready to just switch over to the next level class, and in that class we have been cleaning up book 2 so that it's all of the pieces have a baritone arrangement and a ukulele arrangement, and then they're going to probably start looking at doing some lead sheet work where they do their own melody, or they do their own tuff uke based on the melody and the chords, and that'll be an interesting class. I've never taught that in that specific way before, so it'll be fun for me as well. And then again, Monday nights we're going to continue with jazz through the whole summer. So jazz will continue to be a thing on Monday nights, and then what will happen on the next level class is that we'll be using more modern music. So you'll be hearing, and by modern we mean probably 50s, 60s, and 70s, because they haven't written a song with a melody worth playing since then. But I am in the hunt for them. I will try to find some from the 21st century. I think probably somebody out there wrote a decent song with a melody in it, but I haven't. Nothing immediately comes to mind. So we'll be on the hunt for them. And so that's it for today, guys. You got a little bit of time just to play, and then some of you I'll see next hour. We're going to tackle key changes and how and you guys fit in that with that perfectly. We're going to take Drunken Sailor and Buffalo Gals, and we're going to be doing them in all the different keys, both minors and majors, to get a sense of how that works. And I think transposing, most players at some point in their lives need to do some of that, and so I want to have you have some skill sets there. So that's it. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Let's see what questions or thoughts are over here. Let's see. Mary made it in. Cool thing. Mary's like, wait a minute. You mean I've been playing the exact same shapes all along? Yeah, absolutely, Mary. Yeah. Not until you're out of book 2 do we start really taking full advantage of the possibility that sometimes baritones can play completely different shapes on the low end while ukulele's playing completely different shapes on the high end. And we do that in ensemble class all the time, but sometimes it makes more sense for certain songs to be in one key to be in one set of shapes on the baritone versus on the other. But I don't do a ton of that because, frankly, by the time you're there, you're already there. You don't need my help on that. So, Q made it in, Jan. Yeah. So the shapes are the same. The key is different, but the shapes are the same. So if you learn it on one, you can play it on both, but you can't play together. All right. If you do play together, one person has to be melody and one person has to be chords. But yeah, the shapes are the same. And it is possible, like today in the next level class, we'll all be playing at this simultaneously, and you'll be using the shapes that are appropriate for your instrument. Yeah, right. Forgot to mention, by the way, we're Paganini and Venice works out pretty good, right? Come on, guys. Good point, Jan. Good to see you. Q, explain again about book one and book two. So book one means I don't know anything about music. I don't know anything about ukulele. I'm brand new. Or I have some music background, but I've never used a ukulele before. I need the foundation. That's book one. Book one is, hey, here's Frere Jacques. Here's how to pluck a melody. Here's what a chord is. Here's what a measure is, right? So foundations is, I don't know anything. I need to start at the ground level. I tell even experienced players who've been playing music a long time, they probably need to run through book one real quick to make sure, because most players don't really understand how tablature works, and by the time you're done with this level, tablature, yep, that's the string, that's the fret, I know where my fingers are supposed to go. So that's foundations. Book two, it just takes all of those skills and gives you songs, lots of songs to go through. I think there's 50 some songs on that book two list, and they're divided up in categories. So hey, this we want to play all songs from Mexico. Hey, we want to play all songs from Ireland. Hey, I'd like to play all Stephen Foster songs. Hey, I'd like to play all classical music. So it gives you little packets of different styles of play that we apply to ukulele. And that's book two. And so book two, once you're understanding how the foundations class works, then book two just continues that as more practice, so you feel comfortable with playing music in that way. And then after that, then, it's just whatever happens to be on my mind that month of what you play. More Paganini. Rob's ready to go to lunch, so he's going to get some Paganini. And all right, Vic, thank you. Michelle, thank you. Mary, yeah, you did. We're so light bulbs, guys. Light bulbs are coming on. Okay, very exciting. And Linda, all right, I'll see you next level, guys. Yeah, come by if you got some time. Come by, and we're going to strum Drunken Sailor, and we're going to strum Buffalo Gals, and it's going to be great. So I'll see you guys in the next hour, or I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. End of broadcast. Mm-hmm.